Hello, hello, hello. Welcome here. Welcome back. Good morning, good night, good afternoon, whatever part of the world you're on and whatever time you'll be watching this video. Today's episode of As the Tarot Turns is brought to you on purpose with purpose, and I am your host, Crystal Lavender. Some know me as Criddle, like Riddle with a C. Others know me as Nacho Mama. That was my old YouTube handle back in the day, but I'm going to go with my God-given name, which is Crystal Lavender. All right. And today we're just going to have like an open collective reading. Like we're just going to throw some cards and kind of talk about whatever it is that God, source, universe would like me to discuss today. So if you found this message, it is by no accident. There's no such thing as coincidence. So you were brought here for a reason. All right. And before we get started, we are going to talk about this right here. This is my book. It's called Say You Love, and it is a testimony of triumph over the darkness of childhood sexual trauma and addiction. All right. And I wrote this whole entire book using my phone and some paper. So if you're out there and you have always had this book that you want to write, but think that you need some sort of fancy software or a laptop or this or that, I guarantee you we walk around with these little tools in our pocket all the time. Okay. I did this whole entire process using my phone and some paper. I did like a talk to text on my phone. So, I mean, maybe some of you are just here just to hear that little bit of inspiration. You know, some of you have always had a book in your heart and in your mind and in your soul that you wanted to put out on paper, and you didn't think that you could. You definitely can. All right. And this is a testimony of triumphing over darkness. All right. Like I've done and had a lot of pretty crazy things happen to me in my life, and I share my story as inspiration for anybody out there that thinks that life will never get better, that things can't change, that are, you know, anybody that's stuck in like a shame loop, anybody that's dealing with anybody in addiction, anybody that's like suffering in addiction themselves or has a loved one that's suffering with addiction. We do recover. Like, hi, my name is Crystal and I am a recovered addict. I am 3+ years into recovery. All right. So never lose hope. All right. All right. And that'll be in all of the description boxes of my newest uploads. Like I didn't have a book back in the day, so it's not in my older ones, but all of my newest ones, as soon as the video is over, I go into the description box and I put it in there. And it's available on Amazon, and it's also available for free on my website. And you can also get a signed copy if you email me. All of that stuff will be linked in the bottom. All right. Hi, Vanessa. Oh, hi, Tanya. Holy crap. Hi, Tanya. I thought you were Vanessa for a second. Yay! Welcome here. If you guys have not checked out Tarot Vibes, you should definitely check out my girl Tanya with Tarot Vibes. She is super humorous and completely authentic, and she's got a great personality, and I love her. All right. So this is like a collective message. I just want to see what sort of vibes we got going on in the air. I had some pretty crazy dreams last night. Something to do with cars, you know, there might be somebody out there that thinks there's something seriously wrong with their car. And if you take it to the right mechanic, you'll find out that it's probably just a sensor, like a shift solenoid or a throttle position sensor, or something that is actually really simple that you think is going to cost you like a whole bunch of money, but it's not. I know that was part of my dream last night. Did you? That's awesome. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your 1,000 people. You definitely deserve it. I don't know. I've been feeling a lot in the air of like, not like people feeling like they don't fit in, you know? And I know that has a lot to do. I've been doing a lot of research about that as far as like childhood trauma, you know, like when your parents don't love you, like in your authentic version, like you don't feel like you could be authentically yourself because it like you're always worried about making somebody mad, or they give you the silent treatment, or you know, like you are a goofball or whatever and you got in trouble for it in school, you know, then you learn how to not be a goofball, you know, even though that's like part of your like authentic self, you know. And then you try to fit in with different groups of people throughout your life. Like maybe you try to fit in with, you know, chess club or, you know, just different like like groups inside your schools, and like you were always kind of the outcast. I just want to send a shout out to you that you can be your complete and authentic self, like 100%. Like stop making yourself small to fit into boxes that when you're a circle, like you're a circle and you're a star shape, and you don't need to fit into their box anyways. Like I know we have a tendency that we want to fit in. So we find this group and we're like, okay, awesome. Like we'll finally fit in. I'll finally fit in. But it's usually only under certain conditions. It's like, okay, well, you'll only fit in if you believe X, Y, and Z, or you'll only fit in if you wear the newest styles here, or you'll only fit in if you're, if you've got this skill or that skill, or if you live in this neighborhood, or it's like there's always like some sort of like unwritten laws about it. And then once you realize that they don't actually like love you and appreciate you for who you are, then it's like you're left back at square one again, okay, well then where do I find my soul tribe? I feel like a lot of you are really going to be finding your soul tribe like in the next coming months. Within the next like 3 months or so, I think you're going to start integrating your true authentic self, which is going to automatically bring more people that are attracted to that. Like you're not going to have to play it small for anybody anymore. I was a very strange child. Like I did guided meditations on my 4th grade, like out in the field. Like I'd have a group of kids that would lay in my lap and I'd rub their temples and we'd do guided meditations. We called it 13 stairs, which is weird, but yeah, I was definitely a very strange child. And those of us that don't fit in is because we're not supposed to fit in. We're supposed to break that mold, right? If you listen to Dolores Cannon, you talk about the new earth coming in. It's like we don't want to fit into these old structures anyways, right? Yeah, some of you might have imposter syndrome. You might feel like that, why would they pick me? It's like anytime that somebody like shows you attraction, or like they hit on you or something, it's like you have a hard time taking compliments. You have a hard time like actually accepting a compliment from somebody, even if they genuinely authentically mean it. Like you automatically assume that they have some sort of ulterior motive. And I think that has something to do with like your high school years. But with the 5 of Swords in reverse, it's like sometimes you don't feel like you have the tools necessary. Like anytime that somebody's like, okay, well, I pick you, you're like automatically like suspicious. You automatically get this suspicious of them. Well, why would you pick me? What sort of ulterior motives do you have? Like your brain starts going through like all these different like scenarios. Even though it's something that you might have wished for with the 7 of Cups, like it might be something that you've absolutely wished for, and then when it actually comes around, you're like, wait a second, like, why did you choose me? Why are you like, why would you want to be with me? Like, I'm too tall. I'm too skinny. I'm too fat. I'm too white. I'm too black. I'm too, you know what I mean? Like, I'm too spiritual. I'm too this, like, you've never been to my house. Well, what happens when they see my house? It's like, your mind goes into this like automatic rebuttal. Like you automatically rebuttal any sort of compliment that you get. And you might have a tendency to say, I'm sorry a lot. Like everything is, I'm sorry, and that's a trauma reflex also from when you were a child or from how you were brought up. You might've been brought up like walking on eggshells. You never knew how the adult in your situation was going to react or how they were going to feel. So you became very adaptable to the energies in the room. And apologizing is definitely like one of those trigger responses. If you're one of those people that are constantly saying that they're sorry, it has something to do with the way that you were raised as a child. So one less I'm sorry throughout the day. It's like, are you really sorry you dropped the pen? Are you really sorry you accidentally brushed my elbow? I mean, you don't have to, you do one less I'm sorry throughout the day. We start saying, I'm not sorry, right? I don't know. I've had a lot of really crazy dreams lately. Like there's there's definitely some people out there that have some sort of survivor's guilt. Like if you have a loved one out there that either like passed away from some sort of overdose or like a car accident, like a DUI car accident or something, they want me to tell you that to stop beating yourself up. All right, that it is not your fault, that there is nothing more that you could have done. Like that was just part of their life path. You know, there's nothing more that you could have done. That survivor's guilt is real, man. So there's someone out there that feels a lot of shame and a lot of guilt because they survived and their friends didn't, or that they were part of, you know, maybe you guys were all doing the same thing and in the same group, and you chose not to go out that night and like something bad happened to those people. That it's not your fault. All right. It is not your fault that you survived. There's nothing that you could have done to change that course of action. That was the timeline that they were on in this lifetime. Hi, Barbara. This is kind of like an odd reading here. I'm just doing collective messages, things that like I have intuitively picked up lately, or stuff that I've been doing research about, things that I've dreamt about. You know, some of you are always in fight or flight. You know, like you're always ready for battle, with that survival mode, that survival instinct, you know. It's saying that you could definitely take a rest with that. Like you don't always have to be in survival mode. I think you've passed all of those tests. Like you've fought the battles. You have fought the battle. You've gotten that golden fleece. Like you might have to take it home, you know, but there will be no more hard battles for you. Not like you've already gone through. I mean, I know some of you have been through some ish, right? Some serious ish, some stuff that you wouldn't put on your worst enemy, right? And you have survived every single one of those things. And it's kind of made you into a point where it's like you're always on guard. You always have that anxiety. You always feel like you aren't safe. Universe God is telling me to let you know that you are in a safe space. Like you can rest a little easier at night. Like you can close your eyes and nobody's going to try to steal from you. You can close your eyes and nobody is going to try to mess with you while you're sleeping. Like you can close your eyes and you will be okay. Like there won't be a catastrophe when you wake up in the morning. Like some of you feel like you're just real, like you just have that real like maybe all you've ever wanted in your life was to feel safe with the people that you're around, to feel safe with your loved ones, to feel safe in general, like in your relationships. Yeah, you do have the 10 of Cups. You have the Ace of Cups and the 10 of Cups here. So if you're in a relationship and you're wondering, like you're just waiting for it to fall apart, or you're just waiting for them to just wake up and ghost you one day, or like you're just in that stuck of fight or flight, and it's understandable. I mean, we're human. Like we go, like people that have been to war end up experiencing traumas just from their daily life because of how much stuff that they've been through in their life. All right. So don't beat yourself up. All right. But you do not have any more of those wars coming. Like you can actually rest with that 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups is like permanent contentment in the realm of the heart. Okay, that's like that's permanence. That's permanent, like a tattoo, right? Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, I've lost a lot of friends, like especially in the last 5 or 6 years or so. Like I've lost quite a few people. You know, and we always wonder, like, what could we have done? You know, is there something that I should have said, shoulda, woulda, coulda? You know, wish I could have done this, wish I could have done that. And like the dreams, like I have dreams about my transitioned friends a lot, like a whole lot, and almost every single one of the dreams that I've had, they're happier where they're at than where they were. It's like they'd always try to put my heart and my soul at ease, letting me know that they are actually like they're happier with source. Like they're in a state of pure love and pure abundance, and that they feel no pain. They like they want us to stop suffering for them, you know. They want us to be happy with the sun card here. Whoever I was talking to that's like in straight survival mode, I feel like you're like you've passed all of the tests. You've faced all of those demons. Like none of those things, none of those bad things that happened to you in the past are going to happen again. Like you will not, you're not on that repetitive cycle. It's like you've broken that chain, you've broken that ancestral trauma. You know, we talk about like ancestral trauma, but it's also generational trauma. You know, we think about like our parents that lived through the Great Depression. Like when I was packing up my grandmother's house, like she saved every single cotton ball, every single piece of string, every single everything, because she grew up in the Depression. So there's the generational trauma that happens through the people that live through those traumatic life events, right? And then a part of that gets passed down onto the children, and then those children have their own life traumas, like events, you know. And I think some of you have definitely broke that ancestral generational karma that's been going on. I guess it's not really karma, it's more like programming, that survival mode, that programming. But I don't feel like you are going to, you're not going to be in any more battles. Like if somebody's trying to get you in the middle of like a, you know, maybe a custody battle, or they want you to pick sides, like always pick the truth side, right? It's like, it doesn't matter whose side you're on, if it's the truth or not the truth, you know. Sometimes the truth hurts, but I mean, especially if there's a child involved, it's like, it's not about like who did me dirty or who did them dirty. It's like, those are adult situations, you know. Like we gotta remember to think about the truth of the whole situation, not just our truth, you know, whatever happened to us. I mean, because we're all guilty of one way or another. Like a lot of us will raise our hands. Like how many of you have ever had your heart broken? You know, how many of you have had your heart completely ripped out and broken, right? We'll all raise our hand to that. But then when you ask people, how many of you have shattered somebody's heart? You know, not very many people will raise their hand. And I think we really need to learn how to see things from everyone's perspective, to put ourselves into other people's shoes, you know, at least try to relate as humanly possible, you know, because between me and you, there's my truth, there's your truth, and then there's the above truth, right? Yeah, so my mom, because my grandmother lived through the Depression, you know, my grandmother saved everything, like little balls of yarn, little cotton balls. Like my mom has so much, like she saved so much stuff. Or the whole, you know, like coming from the generation of clean your plate. And like if you put it on your plate, you're going to clean it, you know? Like you better eat what's on your plate. And then you feel a sort of shame or guilt because even though you're full, you know, maybe you put too much on your plate. Yeah, a lot of you are definitely going to be in a time of rest, you know, a time of rest with the Four of Swords here, meditation, rest, recuperation, you know, like doing that deep inner work, like acknowledging where you've allowed things to happen in your life and where you have been the bad guy, but have also let the bad guy be in your life at the same time. It's like you're not responsible for the things that are done to you, you know, but we definitely have to learn how to take accountability for how we act after that, for making sure we never let that happen in our lives again, right? And I think a lot of you are definitely moving into a state of more solid faith in life, faith in your own abilities, faith that no matter what you go through, like there you are on top. It's like no matter what has happened to you, it's like you've always overcome, you've always survived, you've always taken the lesson out of it. I know some of you are tired of that. And I don't think that you're going to have to go through any of those things that you've went through before. Yeah, you're not going to have to go through any of that ever again with the Death card here. it's a hard thing to take accountability, you know, to be like, yeah, I did that. That was me, you know. But then once you do that, that comes with the richness that nobody can ever take from you. They talk about like integrity and like being rich, like having monetary possessions doesn't go with you to the afterlife. But all of the lessons that we learn here in this human school, like I really believe that like Earth is like a school for our spirit, right? All of the things that we learn while we're here, like things like integrity, things like self-resilience, like overcoming procrastination, overcoming like diversity, like being more in tune with our oneness. You know, I think all of those things are all parts of our lessons for our soul, for our soul's growth. You know, because I talk a lot about like how would you explain jacuzzi bubbles to someone, right? Like just imagine for a second that you're like this pure fuzzy dot in a cloud of consciousness, right? Like you're just in pure form energy cloud of consciousness, and this other consciousness comes up to you and starts talking to you about love, like what true human love is, or what true human sorrow is, or you know, the time that they ate the best pizza of their life, or you know, like how the cheese just squished right off, and like where it was made and what it smelled like. And then you talk about like jacuzzi bubbles, you know, and like how they tickled up your back, and you know, you will never completely understand it until you go through it yourselves. Like we could hear about it all we want, you know, but until we actually experience those things for our own soul's growth, then we don't really know. So a lot of what we've gone through has been major upgrades to our soul's evolution, not only for individually, but as a collective consciousness. Hi, John. You know, the collective consciousness is becoming more aware, right? We come down to this earth, we forget like, oh, that we signed up for this. We're like, yeah, I'm going to sign up for, you know, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do that. Like I'm, you know, somebody's like, I'm going to be the bank robber and I'm going to be the policeman, you know, like I had a friend that was shot by the cops one time, and then I had a dream about him. Like I know that I've spent at least 1 or 2 lifetimes with him, because like we were both in war paint and we had war helmets on, and like he was a general in the war, and there was another time that he was actually a police officer, and then this time he was shot by the police. You know, like I know I've had several lives with that friend's soul. You know, it's like, okay, this time I'm gonna be shot by the police, and you're gonna be the police officer, or you're gonna be the friend, and I'm going to be the sister over here. You know, like we all play these different roles, and we think that they're gonna be so easy to do when we're up there. You know, we're like, yeah, I've got that. You know. And it's like trying to beat the frickin' Mario level over and over and over again. You're like, no, I'm going to get it this time. I'm going to get it this time. But I think this time, whatever this lesson is for your soul's, like you're actually getting it this time. Like this might be one of your last reincarnations on this planet to learn those lessons. I think some of the lessons you didn't learn in the past. Yeah, but you will have that victory. This is like victory, you know? This is learning the lessons and applying them and using them to progress forward, to help teach others. You know, when I was in active addiction, like my addiction lied to me and was like, oh, well, you know, what's good of being a warrior of the light if you're just already in a lit up room? Like you have to actually go into the dark to be a warrior of the light, you know, because what's the good of being, you know, in a lit up room with all these candles all lit up, you know, if you're trying to actually make a change in the world, you know? So when I was in active addiction, like my addiction lied to me and was like, no, you could still do this, and you could still do that, but you gotta, you know, like that's the only way that you're gonna get to these people. But it's like, no, I actually had to learn how to pull myself out of that darkness so that I could help teach other people how to do it themselves, right? You know, and most of the people that are in active addiction, it's like they're not doing it because they enjoy it, right? They like it goes from being enjoyable at first, you know, at first like people just start like hanging out, they're like, oh yeah, here, do this, you know, and like either you want to fit in or you want to escape your reality. A lot of the times it's because people want to escape their own reality, right? Like they want to escape their own mind. They want to escape whatever situation they're in. It's like, oh, my girlfriend's being a biatch, so I'm gonna go hang out at the bar, right? Well, then they start turning their girlfriend into a biatch just so they can go hang out at the bar. Like I had lots of times where my friends, my homies would show up, you know, and they'd be all outraged, like, oh my God, you'll never believe what so and so like accused me of doing, you know, and like they were serious about their anger of this accusation. But in reality, it's like the girlfriend was right, that like whatever they were accusing him of, that's what they were doing, you know. But this person was like so convinced that they were being falsely accused, you know, just so that they could come and hang out and do whatever it is that they wanted to do. So it's pretty amazing what the devil, like what addiction, what the devil will do to make you stay in that relationship. Yeah. Most people use it as an escape to get out of their own mental prison, you know, but then it ends up turning in just to another mental prison. And then you end up in that shame cycle where it's like, okay, well, I'm already doing this bad stuff, and the people that actually love me don't want to see me like this. So I'm just going to keep myself away from the people that actually love me, you know, and continue going and partying with my friends that really don't give a crap. And then we feel bad about the fact that we did it. And then we don't do it again. We go and do it again and do it again and do it again. It's like this shame loop, or like a procrastination loop. Like say you were supposed to get up, and like I used to do this with school all the time. Like I had some big test that was due, and like I wouldn't show up to class. So I felt shameful of the fact that I didn't show up for class. So I wouldn't get the stuff done, and then I wouldn't show up the next time either, because I didn't want to look those people in the face, knowing that like they knew that I had just like ditched school, you know. It's the same thing with like people and our loved ones. Like when we're in active addiction, it's like we don't want to show up in front of our loved ones because they can see it in our face. They can see the shame in our eyes, and it's like we don't want to face that. So we end up in this looping around. Some people just aren't ready to put in the work, you know. Like it takes a lot of work to like acknowledge what you're doing wrong, to acknowledge, to face not only your loved ones or the people that love you, but to face yourself. Like, no, you're doing this. This is what you're doing right now, you know. The truth is you are making those excuses to continue doing what it is that you do, you know. You know, and then we get the tower that comes. It's like we always want to point the fingers at the tower. Like say like we move in, like we just hook up with a person, right? Usually codependent relationships end up they're like in the super fast lane, right? Usually people that are codependent hook up with somebody really, really fast. It's like because they just want anybody, whoever, to love them. You know, they're like, okay, like somebody loved me. Oh, you gave me a compliment. That must mean that you love me. That means that we could do this. Like, let's move in. Let's get married. Let's do that. You know, usually codependent relationships are based off of a false reality, a false pretense. You know, that's why the tower always falls, is because they're not built with any sort of foundation. You know, in order to have something that stands, that lasts, it's like we got to do the research. We got to get the time to know somebody. We have to see if we're actually even friends with the person. I don't know how many relationships that I had been into when I was codependent. Like, yeah, I was codependent, right? It took me a long time to realize that I was codependent, but I would jump in a relationship right away with somebody and be like, oh, they love me. You know, let's let them move in. Let's, you know, before I even got to know what type of mannerisms they had, like how they acted in a crisis situation. Like you go on a road trip with somebody and you get a flat tire, and then all of a sudden they're slamming the steering wheel and trying to break out the window and cussing out the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, whoo, you know, but you didn't know that because you didn't get the time to hang out with them. Like, or you get in a relationship with somebody that's based off of all chemical. You're like, damn, you smell good. You look good. Like, you look good on paper, but behind closed doors is like, they are controlling, like where you going, who you going with. You know, I thought you were supposed to be back 5 minutes ago. How come you couldn't come back with the groceries? Like, let me see your phone. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, wait a second. Like, what happened to this, you smell good, you look good, this pretty soul I thought I saw? It was all like this superficial, right? It's because we have a tendency to jump into relationships so quick because we want anybody to love us. Just love, like, oh, you love me? Cool, you know? It's like, I think you're definitely starting to see the world a little differently. Like, you're starting to realize those patterns. You're like, wait, you know? Like, I'm not going to go off of this chemical response I have. Like, I want to see what your moral compass is. I want to know who you are as a person, you know? Like, do you share the same, like, value I have? Like, do you value, like spirituality, or like God, or just people in general? Or are you like throwing litter out the freaking highway, you know, throwing 40 bottles out the highway, you know? Oh, like, what you mean, girl? Like, psh, you hear all this broken glass, like, ugh, you know? Hi, learning to see me. And most of that happens because we didn't take the time to really find out who a person was. Yeah. But I think you've learned those lessons with the justice card here. It's like you're learning to be not all feeling and no fact, but you're also not all fact and no feeling. Like, you're trying to incorporate that balance. Got to find that balance, right? I love you guys. You guys are so like supportive of each other and of me, and like, I love you guys so much. Like, the tarot community actually truly like helped save my life. It helped me learn how to save my life. So I love you guys, man. I don't know what else to say about that. I cherish the bonds that I've made. I cherish the friendships that I've formed. I cherish the lessons that I have learned. The, you know, without the tarot community, I wouldn't have learned the things that I know now, you know? But you do have somebody like, you've definitely had manipulative relationships before. You know, you've been in those relationships where like they love bombed you and gaslit you. And like, what are the things that narcissists do when they're looking for their prey? Because they consciously go out looking for certain responses from people. Is they will, once they feel that they can get you to question your own reality, you know, like when you know for a fact you heard somebody say something, or you know for a fact that they were here when they said that they were there, you know, like, you know, you've seen it with your own eyes, you know that they wrote this time down, and then they try to tell you that no, they didn't do that, right? They know that you want love so bad that you're willing to believe them, that you're willing to question your own reality and put yourself on a lower pedestal just so you can stay in a relationship with them. Okay. They prey on those responses. So the best way to get to not be in a narcissistic relationship with anybody ever again is to learn those things, to learn the way that they communicate, to learn what it is that they're looking for, and never have those responses ever again, because these people will manipulate you, right? They are predators. Hi, Madeline. And that's one of the first things they look for, is they look to see if they can get you to question yourself. Because if they can get you to question your own reality, right, then you're constantly like, well, wait a second, am I crazy? You know what I mean? They have you up in your head like, did I just see that? Did I not just see that? Like, were they telling me the truth, or am I just lying to myself? You know, and then you find out later that you were totally 100% the whole time, and then you're super mad because you didn't listen to yourself. Right? I don't know how many times I went to bed at night with a mofo that I knew was lying. Like, I knew it. I knew he was lying. Like, my soul, my gut told me, you know, I had dreams about it. Like, everything just coincided with this person lying. And I still tried to tell them, no, baby, I believe you, you know, because I didn't want to start an argument with them. Right? Because I didn't want to be on bad terms with them. So instead of being on bad terms with them, I was on bad terms with myself. Right? And once they know that you'll do that for them to be in the relationship with them, they're like, got them, you know? And the more that you try to stay with them, the more they're going to use that. Then they'll give you just as much love. They'll give you a little bit of love to help you feel like you know, that you have something worth sticking towards, you know? And it's like the whole time they're baiting you on for absolutely nothing. There is no reward at the end of that cycle. You finally got moved? Congratulations. Oh, wait. Congratulations. Pixie says hello. But then I promised myself, I was like, I'm never going to go to bed saying that I believe somebody that I knew in my heart I didn't. Because not only was I lying to them, I was lying to myself just to keep the peace, you know? Just to keep the peace. But these type of predators actually prey on people that respond that way. Like if you were to respond like, oh no, like I don't care what you say, you know what I mean? I know you're lying and either you're on my team or you're in my way. You know what I mean? Like I know that this happened. Either you're gonna come up off of it or we're just gonna continue moving forward knowing damn well I don't believe you, you know? There's A or B, you know? Like no more of this like, oh, I'm sorry that I busted you in telling me some bullshit, you know? No more apologizing to them for that. Just to keep the peace. Yeah, because they're either on your team or they're in your way. Some families are like that, man. Like a lot of people are scared of success. Like you have undercover haters that love you, like they love you, but they don't want to see you successful because that means that you're going to move away from them, right? That means that they no longer have access to you whenever's convenient for them. Like some people will say that they're excited about your success, but when it really comes down to it, it's like it either reminds them of what they didn't accomplish, or it makes them feel like they won't have access to you anymore. Like, oh, because you're successful, that means you're going to move away. That means you're going to leave me, you know? Yeah, but you're the king of swords. King of Swords is truth, all truth, nothing but truth, and I don't care if it hurts your feelings. The facts are the facts, right? Sometimes we get so caught up in our feelings that we ignore the facts. That's why we ignore red flags. We're like, no, I didn't see that. I'm going to sweep that underneath the carpet, you know? Even though the fact was right in our face. It was like right there, blatantly in our face, you know? You heard them say it, you've seen them do it, but we will ignore it because we would rather feel how we're feeling in those lovey-dovey feelings, or feel that this person that we love wouldn't do us like that, or this person that we love, like we always see this potential in them and we ignore the facts. I think some of y'all are coming out of that. Like they're like, some of these people are going to have a very rude awakening when you are all about the facts and not about the feeling. And I think it's taken you a lot of work. That's a lot of work. 2 of Pentacles. Had the 7 of Pentacles. But you're tired of this. You're tired of living for everybody else. You're tired of ignoring your own truth and getting your heart broken. You're tired of feeling like you ain't good enough. Like, you know that you are. You know that you are not an imposter. You know that, so what, these people downplayed your abilities and your gifts. You know, they didn't want you to succeed because that would make them feel some sort of way about themselves. You know, it would make them realize like how unaccomplished they really were in their life. And that's not a you problem. You know, like you should be inspiring people. If the people aren't inspired and like your successes aren't their successes, then really, are they part of your team? You know? Yeah, you got the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords. I really think that whoever this message is for, you are just tired. You are tired of people dictating, you know, your reality. You're like, no, I seen this. No, this is the way I feel. Like, no, I'm going to do this. You can't tell me, you know, like they say that God doesn't choose the qualified. He qualifies the chosen, right? Like God picked you for this for a reason. Okay. And that's because he's like, through all the trials and all the errors and all the things that you have learned, like you have come to this point right here, right now, because you are qualified. You are qualified to make those decisions, to tell these people to go F themselves, to tell them that you are in my way. You know, if you're not on my team, you're in my way. And they're going to act like it's a betrayal. They're going to act like you did them so dirty by following your own north, your own true north. They are going to make you try. They're going to try to make you feel like you are guilty. Okay. You are guilty. That's not survivor's guilt. That's not survivor's guilt. That's like success guilt. They're going to make you feel like you are guilty because you chose to leave and follow your own true north. Okay. You chose to leave and upgrade. You chose to leave whatever it was that was in the past. Like, yeah, we might have all came from poverty. We might have all came from the Bay District. We might have all came from this area. And it's like, you're the one that escaped, right? And they're going to try to make you feel guilty for it. That it was some sort of betrayal to them. Don't listen to them. Don't let them get under your skin. They've tater-dicked this whole time, okay? Because you have celebration. There is a reason to celebrate. You've got lots to celebrate. You've got people around you that will love you for your authenticity, for who you really are, not because you follow the rules. All right. You don't fit in because you follow the clique, because you follow the rules, because you conform to this or you conform to that. And then you later realize that like that's going against your whole moral compass, you know, and then you're left feeling all alone again. Nah, you're going to find your soul tribe. You're going to find your people, the people that will love you for your authenticity, for who you are. And it's like, you're not going to conform. I don't think you're going to conform ever again. Like to no group, to no cult, to no nothing. You're not conforming. Because you are good enough. Like these people have put you in this situation for far too long. Okay. For far too long, they've let you feel like you weren't worth nothing, that you didn't have what it takes, that you're never going to get out of the streets, that you're never going to like not be addicted, that you're never going to find true love, that you're never going to lose weight, that you're never going to this. You know what I mean? Like these people have had you up in your head probably since you were a little girl or a little boy. Since you were young, these people have been in your head telling you that you ain't good enough. Yep, Nacho Mama. Good to see you too. Yeah, because the wheel in the sky keeps on turning. That's one thing that like change is inevitable. The only thing guaranteed in life is that we're going to die. That's the only guarantee we have in this life is we're going to die, right? Things are going to change and we're going to die. Only guarantee in life. So we might as well run this ship the way we want to run this ship. We might paint it whatever color ship you want to paint it. Paint that ship. And these people are going to come and they're going to like eventually they're going to be like, oh, you know what? I went to school with such and such. You know what I mean? Like she was my best friend or he was my best friend. You know, they're gonna act like they were supportive of you the whole time, like they was your long lost best friend the whole time. Right. Meanwhile, they did nothing to help support you. Like all they did was try to discourage you from following your own dreams. But in a sense, I guess that pushed you towards being on your true path. Like in a sense, without them acting like you wasn't good enough, you never would have found out that you were, right? They were part of your soul path, but just not in the way that they claim. They think they're going to have some sort of claim to your fame. And like you did the hard work, you did the shadow work, you broke all of the ancestral bondage that has been tied to your family for however long. Like you're the one that broke that with the devil in reverse. But they're going to try to have some sort of claim to your fame. And I think you intuitively know this with the moon card. Like your intuition's on point, right? And the great thing about intuition is the best way to tell what's the difference between your intuition and like what your ego mind is. Like, your intuition is a feeling. Your intuition comes from here. As soon as it comes from here, your ego is already taken over, because an intuition is like this feeling, like you get this wave of feeling, like a frequency, and it just like passes through you or comes out of you. It's like there's no words to it, right? As soon as it starts having words to it, it's no longer your intuition. Your ego has taken over, try to put it in some sort of category, trying to label it this or that, or like rationalize it in one way or another, or compartmentalize it, put this in a box of feelings, or is this in a box of bullshit, or is this a box of what? So your intuition is that inner knowing that you don't know how you know, but you know that you know. And I'm pretty sure you always knew that you were supposed to be doing, that you were better than, not to say better than other people, because we're all like, nobody's better than anybody really, but you were supposed to do big things in your life. Like, you've always known you were supposed to do big things. We have a tendency, we hear our intuition, but we don't follow through with it. We dismiss it. We call it crazy. We think that it's just a coincidence. We call it, like, oh, there's no way, there's no way that this synchronicity actually happened, that the universe or God was actually talking to me, that this song just answered the question I had in my head. Like, that's impossible. I'm freaking crazy. We dismiss our intuition. You hear it all the time. Right? And that's how you could tell you made the right decision too. Like, when your soul feels lighter, when you're just like, you have that relief. That's why they always say, pay attention to the energy of the people you're around, right? If you're around a group of people and like every time, like you go out with them one time and you come back and you're like, you feel all ugh, you're like, brush it off. Maybe it was just a bad day. You go back around to them and you come back home and your energy feels all ugh, you're like, okay, I'm gonna brush it off. Is this me or is this the universe? Like, is there something going on with the planets? And then you go and hang out with that person again, and every time you hang out with this specific person, like you come back and your energy is just ugh, that like, no matter how good of a person they are, you might think very highly of them, you might love them with all your heart, but your energy, like their energy is just not good for you, right? That's how our body tells us. Almost every relationship that I've been in that ended up like crap. I mean, I've never been in a successful relationship, so I can't say that I know what that feeling feels like. But the really, really bad ones, like, I knew right away and I ignored it. Like, we always know, but we dismiss it. We're like, nah, that can't be it. He said he loves me. He says I'm pretty, He says that he's not anything like anybody I've ever met before. Like, whoop-de-doo, Meanwhile, my whole inside is like, you crazy, bitch, you crazy. You've done this. You've played the same game over and over again and got the same prize. Like, play this game again. All right. Howl under the moon in peace. Do it. Yeah, because you're going to find your people. You're not going to be out in the cold no more. Like, you will by making this move, by not caring about so much the feeling aspect and just sticking to the logical facts. Like, the fact is that this is what I'm doing. The fact is I, like the fact, right? Stick with the facts. Then there ain't nothing they can say to you. It ain't about feeling. It's about facts. I mean, sometimes our feelings turn into fact, but just because we feel something doesn't make it a fact, right? Because I felt like some of them fools was my happily ever after, and that was definitely not a fact. But I sure felt that way, So we got to be careful. Like, don't be sweeping facts underneath the rugs because we want to feel some sort of way. And we're guilty. We're human. We're guilty. All right? But somebody is definitely going to be coming to you with an apology, or you might be looking to do some charity work. Maybe there's some sort of charity you're going to get yourself involved into. Start volunteering at the soup kitchen, or volunteering for a rape crisis center, for domestic violence, you know, women that have been through domestic violence or men that have been through domestic violence. Now, there's a lot of men that have been through. I got to give a shout out to the men on the tarot community. Okay, like y'all have got your ish together for the most part. Like every male that I see in the tarot community is definitely like, just the fact that you're there exploring like spiritual beliefs and like trying to understand more about like synchronicities or whatever, like y'all are definitely got your head on together. So a big shout out to the the divine masculine collective out there. I don't care if you're actually male or just divine masculine, but big shout out to the divine masculines out there that are out in the community, the one that are have evolved, like the evolved high vibrational divine masculines. Y'all don't get enough credit, so shout out to y'all. Who, what, where? How many cookies? I don't know what y'all talking about. Yeah, there will be no more of this. Whatever your darkest days, like you have gone through whatever your darkest days through, and you have survived successfully, okay? There will be no more, like the worst thing that put an abscess on your soul. You are never going to have to repeat any of those lessons ever again. You are never going to have to do that. You know, where you are on the bathroom floor where you're crying but no sound is coming out because your heart hurts that bad. That's over. There will be no more of that. And your ship's moving on to calmer waters, right? Even if it feels rocky and confusing and chaotic right now, like you know that where you're going is better. Yeah, you've been divinely guided to go there. You've been divinely guided to do that. You've been divinely guided to make whatever that cut is, and you're trusting your own north. Like, I don't care what they say. You're like, I don't care what you say. This is what I'm doing. Congratulations to you. Yeah, he knows me as Nacho Mama from like years and years ago. I've been part of the tarot community for years and years. Yeah, that's my crazy ass mom right there. Yeah. Whatever was in the past is ended. You have no more like crazy spiritual lessons that you got to go through. Like, you have leveled up and you've moved beyond that. Like, not to say there won't be any complications, because with each new level comes a new complication, but you aren't going to have to go through nowhere near the complications that you went through before to get you to where you're at. All right. Those days are over. That cycle has ended. Like, you are not on the same merry-go-round. Yeah, you're just focused on your happiness, on your true north. Yeah, my mom is definitely supportive. She's my number one fan for sure. Always has been. Even through all the crazy stuff that I couldn't imagine being a mom to me. Like, I was terrible. Okay, terrible. I was terrible. Like, I grew up in Vegas, like in my teenage years, and I was terrible. Like, I could not imagine being a mom to me. And yeah, my mom she never gave up on me. She never threw me out. She never disowned me. Like, she might be crazy, and ain't nobody perfect. Like, she ain't perfect, but she's perfectly imperfect. And I love my mom very much. She's kind of strange. She's got boobies hanging off of her lamps and stuff. Like, literally. Yeah, you're done with the emotional state. Like you're definitely looking more towards the fact. You're like, I don't care how I think about it. It's like, what are the facts, man? Like, show me the money. Show me the money. Okay? Because all the foundations I've built on before have built off of lofty ideas and daydreaming clouds, and they've all come crumbling down. So you're like, show me the motherfucking plans for this execution, okay? Like, we ain't building until I see the plans, until I see the rough draft of from the drafting department. You know, like we ain't moving forward without seeing these plans. You know, like, I want to see who you are. I want to see what you about. You know. Like, you're not falling for none of their swamp water land, you know? Because I think you fell for some timeshare and some swamp water land. And you're like, nah, that foundation is not, won't weather the storm, man. That won't weather the storm. And you're like, I'm sorry if the truth hurts, but it's the truth. You know, it's not truth that's meant to hurt. It's just the truth. You know, and shabam, your 10 of Pentacles. By speaking your truth, by living your truth, by not just being so involved and engulfed in like this chemical feeling of love, which is really like a dopamine feeling that wears off, you know, by not throwing your all at that feeling, you'll find something that is completely like substantial, that has substance, that is tangible, that is real, that will last through that storm. Like, yeah, the feeling is important, but that feeling is that's floating. You know what I mean? That is something that is untangible. Yeah. And you will find your tribe. You will find your tribe. You will find your people. The 9 of Cups. Chablam. That permanent contentment, that contentment that nobody could take from you. Yeah. With that authenticity. When you are completely authentic and you've learned all of these lessons, like some of y'all have been through it, man. Through it. And you aren't due to repeat any of that. But I think you had to learn that lesson. You had to learn that lesson. Most of us have to learn them lessons the hard way, right? There is no easy class on these lessons. You didn't take that class. It took a lot of inner work, a whole lot of accountability, recognition, words and stuff. With that Hermit card here, you know, it took a whole lot of reflection and forgiveness for yourself, man. Like, we're so hard on ourselves. Like, we're so easy to forgive other people. It's like, oh, somebody does me dirty, like, it's gone, you know, like, I might remember a little bit, but I forgive them already, you know. But when I do something jacked up, like, I harp on myself and harp on myself and harp on myself. Like, there are some things that I did way back in the day that I still am like, I can't believe I did that, you know. Like, we are the hardest on ourselves. We are the least forgiving towards ourselves than we are to anybody, you know? So it's that inner work, that shadow work is learning to truly forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made, for the people that you've broke their heart, for the opportunities that you didn't take, you know? For the person that you could have been but didn't end up doing because you went and fell off over here, you know? Forgiving yourself for those things. You got the 2 of Cups. That's coming together in love, with love, something that you love, taking that leap of faith. That's not a leap of doubt. That is a leap of faith. And that's a faith in your knowingness, knowing that you've got this no matter what. No matter what, no matter who, no matter when, no matter why, you've got this. I'm totally a foodie too, Tanya. My mom makes the best salsa. Like, there are people will be 10 years later coming with empty jars. Like, no shit. Like, not kidding at all. Like, people have knocked on her door like years and years after the fact with an empty jar, being like, so are you the one, did you still make the salsa? My mom's salsa is like crack. Food crack. I just really think, collective, that you have learned your lessons. Like, you have learned, you have put in the work. Okay, you have survived. You have done it all. You have thought that you have died. You've probably been reborn a couple of times. Okay, spiritually, mentally, physically. All right, like, your soul has definitely gone through a plethora of life experience, and now you're starting to put that life experience to work, to be with your soul tribe, to be with your soul person, you know, to be your soul person, to not take no shit from nobody. Don't take no guff from them swine, you know. Like, you're not romanticizing about things from the past. Like, you're just nurturing. Like, you are being the nurturer. Like, you're being the mother to your inner child that you never had, right? And you ain't putting up with no bullshit. Ain't putting up with it. And by all rights, you ain't got to. Don't be sweeping them facts underneath the rug because you feel some sort of way, all right? It's hard to do. It's a lot easier to say than it is to do, but in the long run, it is 1,000,000% worth it. All right, you guys. I think those were the collective messages that I had to put out for today. I love you guys so very much. Like, truly, it's an honor to be here. Like, 5 years ago, like, there's no way that I would have thought I'd be sitting here doing this. Like, I was a freaking hot mess. All right. So it is truly an honor that for anybody that comes in and says, shows love and support, you know. I stutter sometimes, but it's an honor. And don't forget, if you would like to check out my book, it is a very raw, super vulnerable, honest series of events that have happened in my life that have brought me to where I'm at right now. All right. And it is in the description of every single one of these videos, and you can get a free download on my website, or you can get a signed copy if you email me at s.y.l.sayyoulove@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody about the process of publishing a book through self-publishing KDP on Amazon, or if you are struggling and you are in recovery, if you are a recovered addict, or you would like to be a recovered addict, like you would like to be in recovery, or if you know somebody that is struggling and you just need some hope or some inspiration, hit me up. All right. Well, I hope you get your sushi, Tanya. I love you guys so much. I'm going to put a little poll in the comment section to see what sort of all signs video I should do next. Okay. So until next time, be good to yourself and to others, always and always, and spread that unconditional love out to the ley lines of the planet like a heartbeat, right? All right. All right. Love you guys. Boom. Sweet.